Good afternoon again, everybody. Just decided to do another quick video. Well, hopefully it's quick. It's 12:30 in the afternoon on the 4th, 2023. That's April 4, 2023. It just occurred to me that I need to address some things I've been hearing over the last couple of days, if not weeks. And I listen to other bloggers, especially Carlos TV and Mixer Boss, I think, and a few others. All right, so I've been listening to Carlos TV and some of the subject matter he's been raising over the last couple of weeks. In the previous tape that was just done, I mentioned the constitutional issues because he's talking about the Constitution and the Prime Minister talking about changing the Constitution. And every topic he raises is significant. It is seriously significant. And everybody should be weighing on those topics. And I'm only hoping that his passion and the information that he's been putting out there just don't fall on dead ears, which I think a lot of people, based on their responses I've seen in the comment section, are listening. But it goes beyond listening. As I've indicated before, it's not the listeners that make the difference, it's the people who act. And if you're so concerned that you take the time to listen to bloggers like that's found on Carlos TV, then you should really get more progressive or proactive in helping to change these issues or these matters from the negative to the positive. Now, some of my observations are that we keep making the same mistakes, and I'm saying to Carlos that one of the mistakes that our people have constantly made, not only in Jamaica but around the world, and when I say people, I'm not just talking about black people, but I'm talking about the vast majority of people who form the bulk of the populations of countries. One of the mistakes we often make, we turn to the very same people who are oppressing us or breaking the rules or causing us harm and destroying our quality of life. Those are the same people we keep preaching to about the actions they've taken that's affecting us negatively. We have to stop. And I hate to mention this, but one of the things we need to do is we need to either start physically finding ways to stop them from doing what they're doing, and the courts would be helpful, except the fact that I've been pointing out that the Jamaica courts are dysfunctional and you're not sure why you're getting out of the courts. But if enough people are paying attention, then the judges will have to rule in accordance to the law because their actions are no more than obvious. So we need to pay attention if we need to really make a stop to all of these things that's happening. And I'm prompted to comment on the beach situation and the fish situation and the rafter situation that was mentioned, because in 2007, 2008, as I said, my company, we started a number of innovative projects designed to empower the ordinary Jamaican who wanted to participate. We created avenues where people could actually get into our projects without even having initial money on hand. Now we won't, let go of our strategy and stuff because we still intend to use it and we still want to facilitate people. But if we make too many people aware of some of our strategies, they could abuse it, and we don't want that to happen to people. So a number of strategies that we employed were designed to move people, and part of our philosophy was building wealth without bureaucracy. I was removing from the equation the roadblocks that are put in place to stop people from becoming successful economically and otherwise. And I'm mentioning that because one of the first things we came about was opposition. The system is so structured that people realize that we're working to move masses of people on an upward trajectory as it comes to empowerment and economics. targeted us. First of all, they accused us of dealing in securities when we dealt with no securities. We had no investors whatsoever. We sued them, and because of the corruption in the court, those matters cannot be heard, or still haven't been heard, even though we sued them from about 2007, 2008. All right? So we sued to stop them from defaming us and scaring people away from our business. None of our business is illegal anywhere. And these are things we're doing in the US. And of course, US regulation is probably some of the strictest in the world. And if it's being done by a black person, we're under serious scrutiny. And we weren't breaking any laws. We develop our contracts coming out of the US market, again, which is strictly regulated. And we had all our contracts checked. I even took out my contracts down to the Securities and Exchange Commission, just to ensure that we weren't breaking any securities laws. And they looked it over. I remember on one occasion, some white person who they were interested in our business from trying to stop us, they called the Security and Exchange Commission, and they sent out officers. One day I was at the office and officers came in. A complainant said her father was a senior citizen and he was interested in our products, and they wanted the police to look at our products because they were somewhat conscious of us as being black people and out of the Caribbean. I mean, literally, that's what they said. And of course, it's unusual for security and exchange officers to come out and even do that, because we weren't breaking any laws. Our attorneys were working on prospectuses to fund projects, to do IPOs. And in fact, we had submitted documentation to the SEC to review. So we know we're legit. And so one of the officers that came and they looked at what we were doing and saw the paperwork, which they could have gone online and seen anyway, she was like, "Oh, well, you're not really doing anything illegal, but why don't you just do like what some guy in Miami was doing?" What he was doing, he was organizing bus tours, and people who came in from mostly South America, Brazil, he would take them around to these neighborhoods with houses, and he would show them the houses, and then he would pass them on to a third party, a realtor, to sell, and he would get some kickbacks. So they were trying to stop us from being our own bosses, in short. But we weren't doing anything illegal, and I'm saying that because we had all our documentation checked and verified by one of the world's strictest law enforcement agencies as it comes to investments and securities. And when we came into Jamaica and we started, one of the first persons or companies we visited was the FSC. In fact, before I came to Jamaica, I had people go down to the FSC and present the documentation that were coming in, and this is what we'd be doing. We also went to the real estate board and did that. And the minute we came in and started to make progress, we got awards, local awards. There was a Gleaner Award, or somebody giving an award for a progressive company. We were given an award for being one of the fastest growing companies. That's how progressive we were. And after that, FSC came after us. The real estate board first came after us. FSC came after us. And it's important to mention the real estate board especially, because remember the judgment that I mentioned in the last video, saying we were illegitimate and operating illegally because we didn't have a dealer's license. We actually were in front of the real estate board from 2006, 2007, when they first came at us and they had to apologize. In fact, they had made commitments to write a letter of apology because we weren't breaking any laws. And in fact, their attorney, which was on Duke Street, I don't remember his name now, said they have to register us as developers, which we followed and did that because I said we had been registered. So saying that to say this, that the ruling from Justice Ty, again, shouldn't have happened, because all of these events were in front of Justice Ty. We did detail all of this stuff, that we not only were registered, but we were out there doing business and there were no issues. We had done other joint venture arrangements and there were no issues. However, the important factor to remember here is that people have to learn to start fighting these matters. And it's great that you're putting the message out there, Carlos TV. It's important. However, I think we need to really get people to become proactive in dealing with these matters. And I did go in your comment section and I took the liberty, and I hope it wasn't offensive, and I pasted a whole chunk of the interpretation of the judgment in your comment section, because I wanted you to take a look at it and read it, and hopefully take an interest in getting this message out. This is one of the most important messages that can affect the Jamaican people and economy. And it also gives us the ability as persons with interest in solving corruption to use this as an example to the world and to Jamaica, that this is what happens when you have corrupt, irresponsible behavior from the judiciary or from government officials. Because when you have government officials or the judiciary making decisions that can kill this country, literally destroy this country and its economy and its people, then it needs to be addressed. So reaching out to all the bloggers to take a look at the information here, get the message out, understand it. If you don't understand it, contact me so I could break it down. And if you want to use these videos that I'm putting out, you have permission to use it, to get it out. The important thing is to get the message out. There are several nefarious acts being committed in Jamaica against me and my investors, and we are invested in Jamaica big time. And we have so much investment sitting on the ground that it's almost ridiculous. And people keep saying, why don't you just pack it in and go? But when you have so much things invested in a country, you can't just pack up and go. You have a responsibility to fight to ensure that you can get your money out or can get it back. But beyond that, they're designed to help this country, Jamaica, and its people, my people, our people, to make progress and go forward. But what's been happening is we've been targeted, and by several agencies and people in the shadows, because certainly, for example, we recognize from then that there was an issue with beaches and coastline properties, and rather than us lobbying government and going through all of that waste of time, we developed a program that was targeted as saying to Jamaicans, let's buy back our beaches, let's own them, because in so doing we would have stopped all the nonsense that's going on, where the people who come in, foreign investors predominantly, occupy or purchase these properties or lease them from government, and now blocking our people from using the beaches. We made the same argument from this 2007-2006 and actually designed a plan for a 6-city tour to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, Washington, and New York, and going into Canada and the UK. Had all of that planned when we came under attack by the Observer paper, in this instance, publishing some defamatory statements by the FSC in one instance, but they published some defamatory stuff targeting us. And so we decided we had no choice but to put everything on hold until it was resolved. Now, the Observer documents disappeared even after the judge ruled that she doesn't see how they could get out of this defamation claim. So it disappeared, and it was only recently that we got the matters set now for trial for 2020, late this year, November of this year. So you see the distance. But the point I'm making is that we were targeted because we're out there working for this country and for the people of the country. And what we're doing was working to get investor confidence into the country so that money would stay here and circulate and build our country's economy. In fact, improving the standard of living of people. We were giving out scholarships. Why would you attack a company like that? We have one of the largest, or some of the largest projects approved in this country, and we've busted people that have been sanctioned by the court and judges in the court to go try to sell our property. And if we didn't find out, then we would have lost the property, gotten it tied up. They would have ripped off somebody, and those people would have ended up not owning property. But then it ties us up further in court. We are in a position where we went into court and presented documentation that the people who have been filing all these illegal fraudulent claims, which are illegal, by the way, don't have the right to do so. And some of them are foreign entities, because they're using it to try to rip us off and rip off other people using us. And we went into court with all the documentation and had a judge rule that no foreign court order or anything that they obtain in the US illegally could be enforced in Jamaica. Yet we went into court the other day, and the justices, Justice Mason, and said, we're granting these people an injunction. No, it wasn't Justice Mason. Who was it? Nemhard, I think, or one of them. Well, in any case, the fact is, after a judge ruled that no foreign injunction could be, or order could be enforced against us in Jamaica, and our property couldn't be dispossessed of us, they still went and got an injunction against us. And the injunctions are stopping major projects from being built. Projects that would create over 30,000 permanent jobs in one instance. We had projects across the island, which including Mrs. King's property, which form part of the last tapes or videos I did regarding the judgment by the appeals court, and that we were operating illegally, because Mrs. King's property was a 300-acre that was going to be built a smart city, technologically advanced city. They're shut down. Now, why would government do all of that? Because there are people behind the scenes allowing it to happen. And I say government because we reach out to government to stop this nonsense that's going on, or stop the people who are doing it, or lock them up. We reach out to JCF, the police, Commissioner of Police, to go lock up these people who have been filing these fraudulent documents, and nothing is being done. So the point I'm making is, we can't just be talking if we expect to see change. We have to start acting. And it means what we have to do to protect those constitutional rights is to file constitutional violations in court. We have to put up the funds, get attorneys who have standing and are legitimate and clean and decent people to go into court and sue the government for doing all of this. Because when Michael Manley became Prime Minister, one of the first acts he did was to pass a law that nobody in Jamaica, business person or owners of property with beach property, could stop Jamaicans from going onto the beaches. Now, from all indications that I know about, that law hasn't changed. Michael Manley actually put that in place because he was, believe it or not, he had gone down to Montego Bay, wanted to go into Doctor's Cave, and they blocked him. They said he couldn't go on. Alright, so, because Doctor's Cave was like that, real racist and prejudice, and the only people that could get in there were people who were either very light, or white, or Chinese, or if you were black and you managed to get the privileged position of being admitted as a member. And there weren't too many of us. But so the prejudice is always there, has always been there. And though Jamaicans are more resistant to it, no, we're not doing enough to fight it. We can't just be talking. We have to file suits against these activities. If the government is giving up our lands to foreign investors or beachfront property and denying Jamaicans from getting those properties or accessing it, then we sue everybody. If we start suing these foreign investors and for discrimination and put them on the world circuit and use international courts of law to deal with discrimination and report them because they plan on blocking people, they're going to resist coming into Jamaica and tying up their money in court. And we know they'll sue them one time. If they keep going, we sue them over and over and over again until they get tired of it and move out. until they decide, listen, we're going to develop our project to admit or allow Jamaicans to enjoy it. This argument about, oh, if we open the beaches to Jamaica, they're going to have problems. No, Jamaicans and tourists have always been on the beaches in Jamaica. I grew up in Montego Bay, and there were always tourists on the beach, and we were on the beach, and tourists were on the beach, and they never had any problems. Yes, you had one or two people who came on there, and they were trying to sell stuff, and blah, blah, blah. That happens all over the world. But it didn't stop them from or allow anybody to come and ban locals from accessing beach or waterfront property, which is people's property. They have a right to access it. And what we have to do is, as I said, come up with strategies where we either do a crowdfunding effort after organizing, hiring attorneys to sue those companies, not only in Jamaica but at their home base. And if we can sue them at their home base, then we file complaints with them international about human rights violation, and get the world community and people all around the world. We'll get support from people all over the world, will support and boycott people like that. So we have to develop strategies where we become fighters. We're not fighting with spears and muskets and all of that. No, we have to use the tools that are within our environment to fight these matters. So I'm reaching out to the bloggers and Carlos Stevie and people who are listening to these bloggers and the concerns, the issues that are important to everybody, and to preserving a country with a high standard of living, and our freedoms are protected, and not only protected, but we can exercise them without limitations or restrictions. People who are coming there to do nefarious things are going to be doing nefarious things whether the tourists are on the beach or not. And so we set up security measures that we can monitor people who are coming on the beach. And if they need to be locked up, then you do that. That's what the law is for. But you can't use people who are criminals to block citizens from enjoying their legal and human rights in a country that's their country. So we need to get people to be proactive. We need to be proactive. I said, use the courts. And the strategy is, we know the courts are corrupt, and chances are people are going to try to pay off people. But what we do, we use the court, and we keep filing suits and file suits. And we can tell, we have millions of people in Jamaica. Everybody don't have to file at the same time if we have to use that strategy. And so we become a bug in their system, that if you're going to go against the people in Jamaica, then we're going to strategize and stop you. We don't want to go marching in the sun if we don't have to, but if we have to, we need to do that as well. But it means support. It needs organization. We need to come up with organizations out of all these bloggings and all the information and concern that's out there, that bloggers are concerned about, that Jamaicans are concerned about, that your viewers are concerned about. We need to get organized. And it doesn't take everybody. It doesn't take the 10,000 or the 20,000 or the 60,000 listeners you have or subscribers you have. All it takes is a handful. I think in the Bible it says where one or two people are of common concern, then we can change the world. So see if you could reach out to your people and see if we could get them into an organization. And it doesn't have to be physically. We could do it online and reach out and become powers of change, people of change. We effect change by not just talking. The Prime Minister is talking all that nonsense. Guess what? Sue him and put him in court. Hire an attorney that will do the job. And if we can find an attorney, till it end up at this, they say it's the King's Court, till it end up in England or wherever, House of Lords. We push the system, and if we find corruption, we use those organizations to expose the corruption so it doesn't get into the Governor General hand and him bury it. Because the Governor General, the Chief Justice, the President of the Appeals Court, they're the ones that decide what goes to the Appeals Court. Not the Appeals Court, the Privy Council. And though their dissent can be overcome with an appeal, we use all those strategies. It's cost us less in the long run to go that route than we just keep talking and see no progress. frustrate our people, and end up losing a country that we so love. So I'm saying all of that because there's so much that needs to be done, and we can do it. We don't need an army, we don't need any military tactics, we don't need any weaponry. We just need to use our intellect and our brains, because that's what these people, these corrupt people, have been doing. They're playing us. They use laws, they use corrupt people in high places, and they play us, and then we figure we are powerless because, oh, we're not going to get through because they're corrupt. Guess what? We can't stop them in their corruption. We have the laws at our disposal as well, and if we expose them with action, with tangible action, with law enforcement in the courts, as I said, we have a Foreign Corruption Powers Act in the US. We can use all kind of US laws to challenge corruption in Jamaica when we know foreign entities are coming into Jamaica and paying off these government officials to sell out the beaches. Guess what? They can end up in prison here. We need to exercise all our powers. The Law Reform Fraudulent Transaction Act is a powerful law in Jamaica. We can apply that to any deceptive, nefarious action executed by anybody, not just government officials, no. And it's against anybody around the world. So if we have a person that's in the US doing something in Jamaica that's causing to undermine the economy and it's illegal, we can reach them via this law and prosecute them in Jamaica. And again, use the tools. So let's start thinking, throw money at the problem, throw money at the issues. We were proposing to buy up all these beaches, and had in fact contracts to get some of these beaches and to ensure that they would serve the people. And that would eliminate a lot of nonsense, because rather than fighting and going to the stuff, we raise the money publicly to buy the beaches. When they're up for sale, we buy them. Or we pressure government, you're going to lease or sell this out, here's the money. We raise the money on crowdfunding platforms, and we find ways to finance those purchases, which can be done. There are private businesses who would put money up to have businesses on the beaches serving the people, and those funds can be used to pay whatever substitution needs to be taking place to get rid of these foreign investors who lock us out, and put local business people in play so that Jamaicans can enjoy. There are simple strategies, simple practical solutions. So reaching out to everybody, as I said, you hear my voice going, I'm passionate about taking action. I'm not one to just want to talk. I get frustrated with that, and I get decorative when I get frustrated with my language, as you can pick up. And not most people don't know this now, but do you know that Jamaica, of all the countries in the world, one of our unique traits is that we have more curse words, what we call bad word, than any other country. And we have them in so many combinations that it's crazy. So we have enough words to get rid of the frustrations if we need them, but we don't need to get to that point where we have to use every one of them decorative terms. So that's a word, that's some valuable information to you. Jamaica and Jamaicans have the most curse words on the planet. And if you don't believe me, go in a room, lock it up, make sure nobody is hearing, and you try every combination and every one that you know about, and you see what I mean. Everybody else have one or two, and that's that. It's almost universal. We have so many, and it became necessary for us to have it, because that's one of the tools we use to get rid of the frustration and the anger dealing with all this crap, from colonialism to slavery and you name it, and now government oppression. And I said, when you get to the point where a whole barrage of words can't solve the issue or relieve the tension, sometimes we have to resort to those terminologies. There are no bad words in life, especially if they help you to relieve tension. But that's some of the things we have to get out of our system, where people are going to jail for bad words. Alright? There's no such thing. It's ignorance. Have a good one. As I said, please share the video, share the information. And I'm saying to all the bloggers, and I'm pointing to Mr. Carlos, because I see you're passionate about stuff. You genuinely want to have things done. And so I would imagine if you're genuine about getting these things done, and I'm not questioning that, help me or help us to organize, because you have enough people, you have enough followers, and we don't have to go talk about no politician or join no political party and all of that. At this point in time and in life, what we need to do is get a people's movement, and out of that people's movement, if we do decide to create other additional political parties or support ones that are emerging, then that's for the people to decide individually. We have greater issues at hand, and we're hoping to see those persons with those political parties emerging rise to the occasion and come and help us with these fights, because these are the important matters that you have to deal with when you're going to government, if you're going to government, if you persist. And I did send an invitation for us to have dialogue with, because quite a few persons have in the comment section say I should reach out to this particular person and a political party, which I only found out existed when I started this. But I've reached out and I haven't heard anything from the brother or their followers. But my objective is not necessarily to go political or political party, but to support issues that will make a difference. And if you ride on those issues and you really put out genuine effort to ensure that you protect Jamaicans, I'm pretty sure Jamaicans will give you that support. Alright, so thank you again. Have a great one. And looking forward to us doing something really concrete. I said, the courts are corrupt, but we can still use them to achieve some strategy that will get us where we wanted, or bring light or enlightenment to people who are in the dark and figure we can't do anything because a politician or the prime minister is doing XYZ. No, we can stop him in his tracks even without an election. That's what the courts are there for. You can sue government, in short. You can sue the police. You can sue the prime minister. You can sue the governor general. You can sue everybody. Alright? You can even sue the king. Have a good one.